Welcome back, Rovers! If you missed the latest story update or just want a quick refresher, you are in the right place. Today we are running through a recap of everything that went down in the main quest of the first half in Wuthering Waves 3.5. From a sudden machine rebellion and Sentinel Hsin disappearance to Yangyang's epic Second Awakening. We are covering all the major plot points in one quick summary. And if you're interested in specific plots, timestamps are available on the timeline or in the description. So now let's get right into it. Our story begins not in Mengzhou, but back at the familiar StarTouch Academy. Rover is going about that day when a letter arrives from Yangyang. She writes that Jinzhou is facing growing unrest and she and Chisha are heading out to investigate. To top it off, Abby is loudly complaining about missing Jinzhou's local cuisine, and Rover decides it's time to head back to where it all began. After a warm farewell to their friends at the academy, Rover hits the road. Meanwhile, near the border of Mengzhou, Yangyang finishes reading Rover's reply. She and Chisha press forward. Along the way, the girls discuss troubling rumors. Locals have been vanishing and all clues point directly to this border region. Their investigation takes a deadly turn when they walk straight into an ambush. A fierce battle erupts, leaving Chisha severely wounded. With the situation desperate, Yangyang makes a choice to send her wounded friend away to safety, so Chisha can deliver a warning to Jinzhou, while Yangyang stays behind alone to draw enemies. Short after, Rover arrives in Jinzhou, only to be hit by a landscape of bad news. They ran into Zhezhi and she reveals that people are disappearing, Chisha is wounded and Yangyang has vanished. Rover rushes to Jinzhi's residence, but instead of magistrate they find a stranger, SuiSui, Yangyang's sister. Jinzhi arrives shortly after and grants them an official pass into a sealed region of Mengzhou. But Rover refuses to live blindly. First, they rush to the hospital to check on Chisha. At her bedside, Bai Zhen and Liao brief Rover on Chisha's condition and warn them of the lethal dangers waiting beyond the border. Having crossed the border, Yangyang fights her way through endless waves of enemies. Exhaustion takes its toll. Barely conscious, she faces a foe she is too weak to defeat. Suddenly, a wave of echoed memories washes over her. She witnesses a past battle where local soldiers were cornered, and the legendary paragon Qin Zhao sacrificed herself to let the survivors escape. In the present, a malfunctioning automaton raises its blade for a killing blow on Yangyang. But just in time, local forces arrive to save her, guided by a strange mechanical bird, the Raftekite. Overwhelmed by stress and sheer exhaustion, Yangyang collapses into darkness. Yangyang wakes up in a hidden camp of survivors. The refugees whisper that Xuanfang was once protected by Sentinel Hsin, but now she is completely out of reach. Lian Yu, a captain from the Ministry of War, is baffled. These automatons were originally created by the Sentinel to protect humanity and fight tacit discords. And why they turned into their creators is a mystery. Now, the military's top priority is evacuating the civilians, but the retreat is heavily bottlenecked. Yangyang volunteers to help warn the village. During the task, a villager tells her about the Raftekite that saved her and now refuses to leave her side. This bird is a mechanical tribute to Xuanlin, a species that went extinct during the War Fortress 200 years ago. The local believed that the bird could carry human emotions. People entrusted the Xuanlin with their joys, sorrows, and deepest longings, trusting them to carry their feelings across the land. While helping a mother find her lost child, Yangyang stumbles upon an ancient sword. Touching it triggers a vision. A woman looking exactly like Lian Yu bids farewell to her grandmother, before heading to the war that already claimed her husband. The village elder explains to a shaken Yangyang that this nameless blade holds the souls of every who fought in the war. The elder also asks her to deliver this relic to Lian Yu, so soldiers can bring it to the hold. Lian Yu instantly refuses, calling the sword dead weight, so Yangyang decides to carry it herself. They also share a quiet moment. Lian Yu blames herself for surviving the automaton ambush, while her closest comrades perished. Yangyang counsels her, admitting that her own forte allows her to hear the whispers of the wind, but this gift often brings nothing but pain, by forcing her to relive past tragedies. Yangyang then hums a melody that heard Lian Yu singing. Lian Yu shares that it was her mother who taught her only fragments of the song, as the full lyrics were lost 200 years ago. The peace is shattered by a messenger. The other puppets are at the gates. With the scouts missing, Yangyang volunteers to personally find a safe path for the refugees. Along the way, she discovers hordes of aggressive machines and the body of the lost scouts. Fighting her way through, Yangyang secures an escape route and signals Lian Yu. The group successfully reaches a new camp. During a brief respite, Yangyang writes a letter detailing the events. But the peace is short-lived. The automatons quickly encircled the garrison. A distress signal is sent to the hold, but reinforcements won't make it in time. So Lian Yu decides to stay behind to buy the others time. Yangyang refuses to let her throw her life away, arguing that the people need a captain, not a martyr. Yangyang takes Lian Yu's place, joined by 2 brave soldiers. As the battle rages on, Yangyang is left as the sole survivor, and her consciousness is pulled into a path sealed within a sonorosphere. Before her eyes, the horrors of the battle from 2 centuries ago come to life. Miraculously, the trapped souls of the fallen soldiers perceive Yangyang not as a human, but as the legendary Xuanlin bird. Amidst the smoke and scream, Yangyang spots 2 sisters. One is mortally wounded. Dying, she begs her younger sister not to cry, but to sing so Xuanlin bird can hear them and carry her home. Next, Yangyang witnesses the aftermath of the battle. A group of inventors arrive, and their leader orders to deploy mechanical puppets to purge the remaining tacit discords. Yangyang is snapped out of her trance by an unfamiliar voice. A man stands before her, surprised to find a lone soldier in such a hazardous area. Yangyang is wary of this stranger, who looks nothing like a fighter. The man introduces himself as Muyu, an engineer from Xuanfang Ministry of Development. He was ambushed by the rogue machines, fled, and hid in the mountains. Muyu refuses to return to the hold. His target is the Western Fan Peaks, home of the Skyworks, the largest automaton manufacturing facility. He warns that if Skyworks fall, Xuanfang is doomed. Believing the machine rebellion originated there, he convinces Yangyang to escort him. Muyu leads Yangyang along a hidden mountain path surrounded by the ruins of war. He explains its tragic end. Realizing defeat was imminent, the defenders detonated the entire Yuan fortress. Only the descent of High Will, the Sentinel herself, brought the madness to an end. Then another echo of the past hits Yangyang. She sees a younger Muyu wandering through a burning wasteland, devastated by how easily his creations fell to the tacit discords. Suddenly, a massive monster leaps at him, but a soldier throws himself in the way, dying to save the engineer. Kneeling over the soldier's body, Muyu awakens his forte and absorbs the man's dying emotion. A dark epiphany strikes him then. Chaotic human emotions are the missing key to make his machines flawless. The vision fades. Yangyang stops and stares at Muyu. She asks about his scarred right eye, followed by a direct accusation. Did he lose it during that very war 200 years ago? Muyu realizes his cover is blown. He admits he was the part of legendary Georgie Natalia. He scoffs at humanity's arrogance, stating that compared to the Sentinel, humans are nothing but ants. The Sentinel merely watched them die instead of saving them. And now Muyu intends to steal the fire of the gods. Looking at Yangyang, he sneers that she's wasting her divine gift on trivialities, like burning something priceless for firewood. Yangyang refuses to listen to his madness and draws her sword. Meanwhile, Rover and SuiSui cross the border into Mengzhou. Xuanfang welcomes them with a chilling silence. Amidst the ruins, they find a note written in Yangyang's handwriting, but a sudden dense fog separates them. Fighting through the fog, Rover runs into Lian Yu, who recognizes them as the hero of recent war with Overclock. Together, they follow Yangyang's trail. Lian Yu confirms that Yangyang drew the machines away to save the refugees. Rover notices a note on the back of the letter pointing to the Skyworks. Lian Yu warns that the facility is now a raging hive of crazed auto puppets. Along the way, Lian Yu shares a terrifying truth. Sentinel Hsin has vanished. The gates of her residence in the hold have been sealed for a long time, and all pleas for help have gone unanswered. Soon, they find the site of Yangyang's and Muyu's battle. Rover summons Abby to analyze the core of a destroyed machine. Abby complains that the core is saturated with rage, regret, and disappointment. Rover is stunned. Machines shouldn't have feelings. Could these emotions be what drove them mad? The team pushes onward, tracking Yangyang's residual frequencies. The path is littered with signals of brutal combat. Soon they discover Yangyang's abandoned motorcycle and hat, but she is nowhere to be found. Muyu materializes before them. He smugly remarks that he underestimated the protectors of Xuanfang. When Rover demands to know where Yangyang is, Muyu sneers that she chose the path of self-destruction. Rover lunges, but Muyu is shielded by a powerful barrier. Taunting that Rover looks just like the one described by a certain woman in red, Muyu vanishes. Pursuing Muyu, Rover and Yangyang discovers cages containing the missing Jinzhou citizens. Nearby, they find Muyu's research logs. The notes reveal that Muyu spent centuries trying to crack the Sentinel's code, but failed. Desperate, he tried fusing the frequencies of fallen soldiers with his machines. When the frequencies rejected each other, Muyu realized he needed a glue, the pure, untainted emotion of living humans. That's why he kidnapped the villagers. The logs also mentioned that the Fraxidus tried to recruit him. He dismissed them as lunatics, though he gladly accepts their resources. When Rover corners Muyu, he drops the cages of captives into an abyss. But Yangyang makes a dramatic entrance, saving the prisoners and stopping Muyu's escape. Lianyu stays to tend to survivors while Rover and Yangyang give chase. While Rover pursued Muyu, SuiSui managed to escape the fog. She finds herself in an abandoned village swarming with automatons. The machines surrounded her but suddenly freeze, subdued by a mysterious forte. A young man with a lantern steps out of the mist. It is the informant SuiSui hired. He hands her a scroll that counters the fog's effects and a map of Fog Whale's pagoda. SuiSui suspects that the Zhojin Atelier is behind the uprising, but the youth assures her that their leader couldn't care less about Xuanfang. He also mentions he spent 10 years tracking Atelier agents who infiltrated the Ministry of Development, finding all but one. Before vanishing back into the fog, SuiSui asks if he has seen a girl with feather-tipped hair and a blue hat. The informant only shakes his head. He would definitely remember someone that striking. SuiSui continues toward the pagoda. There, SuiSui meets a mysterious silhouette. It's Sentinel Hsin, or rather a mere fragment of her frequency. SuiSui gets straight to the point. As the Sentinel, Hsin's duty is to protect her people. So why is she allowing this chaos? But only silence answers her. Then, SuiSui's gaze lands on the Prism of Fate. She deduces that the prism holds Hsin's power, meaning the Sentinel is physically trapped. Hsin commands her ally's sharp intellect but revokes her access pass. But SuiSui is prepared. Before leaving, Jinzhou told her that Hsin split her power into several prisms of fate. Only the Sentinel or her resonator can use them, with one exception: Rover. So then, SuiSui offers Hsin a new contract. Hsin laughs but declines, vanishing into the fog. SuiSui pursues her. She wakes up in an illusion created by Hsin, a trial to teach her the true cost of salvation. SuiSui is thrown into the past of a defenseless village about to be raided by bandits. In her first attempt, she sends the young god to fetch reinforcements. The village is saved, but the messenger dies. Refusing to accept this loss, SuiSui resets the trial and fights the bandits herself. She wins, but lowers her god and nearly killed by a hidden assassin. Then Hsin intervenes, explaining that the prism represents the inevitability of sacrifice. Either the god dies, or SuiSui does. But SuiSui counters. She succeeded without sacrifices because Hsin stepped in and changed the outcome. Then Hsin projects the vision of a future where trying to save everyone leads to a total machine victory. SuiSui agrees, but adds, any losing game can be flipped if you play a trump card. And the trump card who defied destiny at Mount Firmament is Rover. She claims that he is the one who can carry the weight of her greed of saving everyone, so she challenges Hsin to bet on that future. Intrigued, Hsin agrees and hands over the artifact. SuiSui sends the prism to Rover with her bird. Rover and Yangyang cornered Muyu, but he summons a colossal automaton with impenetrable shield. Their combined strikes barely leave a scratch. In that desperate moment, SuiSui's gifts arise. Hsin's voice echoes demanding a vow from Rover. In exchange for this power, they must never abandon this city. Accepting the Sentinel's power, Rover obliterates a giant machine with a single blow and catches an exhausting Yangyang as she falls. Then Lianyu arrives, noting that Yangyang returned alone. The soldiers who volunteered to hold the line have fallen. Yangyang tries to apologize, but Lian Yu stops her. It is her burden as captain, and Yangyang has nothing to apologize for. Inside the city, SuiSui greets them, immediately pulling her sister into a suffocating hug. SuiSui explains how she convinced this stubborn sentinel to cooperate, but warns Rover. The fate is now tied to Hsin, and the sentinel is clearly hiding something. The group also concludes that another overseer of the Fraxides is pulling the strings here. Commander Xuanfang listens to their reports. He admits they let a mole slip through, but tracking Muyu's true identity is now impossible. He also reveals the piece of the past. 200 years ago, Hsin foresaw the war's end and ordered the construction of this hold, but she bypassed Muyu's Georgie Natalia, commissioning the court of Savante instead. Yangyang doubts Muyu is motivated by a mere century-old grudge. His goal is total chaos, and the only place untouched by the machine uprising is the hold itself. While Rover works to restore the hold's communication network, Yangyang decides to return the memorial swords to the villagers. She confesses that the blade triggers strange visions of the past. Unlike Rover's visions with Jue, which Rover actually lived through, Yangyang is merely a silent observer. The village elder is moved to tears as he receives the relic, thanking her profusely. As Yangyang places the sword on the altar, the space around them warps. Under the strains of a familiar song, the heroes are pulled into the past. Flocks of Xuanlin birds soar above, as families bid tearful farewells to departing soldiers. Short after, they find a singing woman named Lin Fan. She explains she sold her instrument to join the army to avenge her husband and protect her baby daughter. Yangyang gently assures that her daughter will grow up safe and will pass down the same love to her own children. In gratitude, Lin Fan gifts them her son. When Rover and Yangyang return from the past, Lian Yu contacts them. Communications are restored, but the enemy is advancing too fast. A massive army of automatons controlled by Muyu gathers at the main gates. A fierce battle erupts, but the endless waves of machines slowly push them back, shattering their defenses. Suddenly, a devastating strike cleaves through the enemy ranks. Paragon Jinzhou has arrived. She holds the line against the horde, giving Rover and Yangyang the opening they need to confront Muyu directly. And as they approach the mastermind, time suddenly stops. A mysterious voice whispers to Yangyang, "Leave this burden to Rover. Walk away and live in a blissful ignorance." But Yangyang says she will never let Rover stand alone. And the voice replies that in this case she has to prepare to leave her old life behind. Muyu mocks them, asking Rover if they aren't tired of pretending to be human. Yangyang accuses the engineer of tuning the machines against the very people they were programmed to protect. Muyu scoffingly replies that Sentinel protecting humanity is just a comforting lie for those too weak to stand on their own, questioning if any Sentinel has ever declared that saving humanity is their true purpose. Rover fiercely objects, pointing out that every Sentinel they've met has sacrificed everything for their people. Muyu remains unmoved. Emotions are chaos, the ultimate enemy of logic. He spent 2 centuries warping the protective instincts of the fallen soldiers into pure hatred. A single spark of human emotion broke Hsin's perfect programming. With that being said, he unleashes a colossal automaton. During the battle, Yangyang releases the trapped frequencies of the dead soldiers. The souls of the fallen beg her to destroy them so they can no longer harm the living. Yangyang is severely wounded, triggering a catastrophic overclock of her forte. Her ability to hear the wind spirals out of control, resonating with the voices of the dead and the ancient Xuanlin. But Yangyang masters the tempest, taming the chaotic frequencies, and undergoes her second awakening, unlocking an incredible new power. With her forte awakened, Yangyang helps Rover tear Muyu's machine apart. Before final explosion, maddened engineer screams that humanity has spent 200 years in this fortress, without ever understanding its true nature. The platform detonates, Muyu's body is revealed to be just another puppet, and Yangyang catches Rover in a dramatic freefall. Chou Hong reports that Lin Yao is recovering from her overclock, and Qin Zhao is purging the remaining threats. The survived automatons cannot be repaired or shut down. Yangyang only restored their original emotions, but purging the code requires Hsin herself. Rover and Yangyang contact Baiji. Chisha is fine and will be back on her feet in no time. Rover walks through the recovering city and spots SuiSui putting on a street performance. He asks why she trusted him with Shin's power. She smiles, saying that Jinzhou knew he could handle it and she simply trusted her intuition. Through the Ministry of War, Jinzhou contacts them. Relieved, she agrees to transfer Yangyang under the command of Xuanfang guards. She says that with her newly awakened power, Yangyang has become a pivotal piece on the board. Then Raftekite flutters down. The commander is astonished. The bird looks identical to the original design from 2 centuries ago. It flies off and lands on the palm of Shin, who warmly notices that she hasn't seen such a brilliant human flame in a very long time. 2 days later, Yangyang undergoes an examination. SuiSui presents her with a gift from their mother, a seashell, their family traditional symbol of coming of age. Left alone, Yangyang holds the shell to her ear. The sound pulls her consciousness into a mysterious realm. The voice from the battlefield calls her back to where it all began. Yangyang witnesses the past, her first encounter with Rover in the Gorges of Spirits. The voice explains that Rover was the first variable to shatter the chains of cause and effect, making their encounter a 1 in a billion miracle. It adds that the end of days has shifted, leaving even the voice unable to foresee what lies ahead. When asked for its identity, the voice says it is not yet time to reveal itself, calling Yangyang's journey her personal pilgrimage. Yangyang wakes up to find Rover standing before her. The doctor delivers the verdict. Her awakened forte is stable, but Xuanfang technology is too primitive to analyze it further. They will need to head to the new Federation. Walking through the streets of Xuanfang, Yangyang looks at Rover and promises, whatever the future holds, she wants them to face it together. And that is all for Yangyang's main story in version 3.5. What do you think of it and where do you think the story goes from here? If this quick recap was helpful, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Until the next time, Rovers.